Of the heart. The heart is the imagination of the breath. The breath is the imagination of consciousness, and consciousness is the imagination of an unknowable, eternal, all-loving reality only known as you. Therefore, you are an eternal, all-knowing, all-loving reality that is exploring its own infinite potential throughout a sea of consciousness expressed through the endless simultaneous lifetimes of one single breath that animates itself in the form of an innocent heart that plays in the imagination of the one eternal mind. It's all one.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroom, and I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I'm also let me get that into the picture nicely. That's really important to me. We earned that. I'm a civilian court clerk for an Article III court from the United States of America's Constitution, identified as one Supreme Court with a small o and a small s and a capital C, claiming original jurisdiction on the land and soil of Oregon. There's 13 of us, and we have 4 marshals. And this is an expensive, heavy tool. I clean up pretty good. And when we go out and downtown and on the streets and in the buildings, I'm dressed well enough to get along with those folks. And I wear my badge so they can see it. And I do it with the sense of desire to get it right. I'm not going to let anyone invade my unalienable rights. I'm just not going to acquiesce. And I extend that to others. So, we're working with sheriffs on Oregon. There's 36 of them. Not one of the 36 has a proper oath and bondability to the proper constitutions with the laws of nature and nature's God included, to uphold the constitutions and the laws in the county and the state and do his job and deputize men and women to help him and take an oath to do that seems reasonable. Then to be qualified by the DPSST safety and training for the state's LEOs, law enforcement officers, making sure that those that are on the street protecting us, taking care of the safety of all of the people on the land, that they're well trained. There's no bad apples in the bunch. We sorted them out. And then the county has a couple of requirements. Person has to be bondable, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, all of those things. They have to take an oath. And not one of them has. It's all play pretend. It's like they rewrote in color of law what the law is to their benefit. And they named themselves attorneys and members of the Oregon State Bar and judges and so forth. And they set up a fiefdom called Article 7 Amended. It's in the Constitution. They put it there unlawfully and illegitimately in 1910. And all of our sheriffs know it. We've told them. We've proven it to them. We've shown them the facts. We have the evidence. We have the verdicts of the court. We have the findings of the grand jury. And they all know this and have for months, and not one of them has provided their bona fides. The one to do the best out of the 9 that we're inspecting, we're doing an audit on 9 of them. And out of that 9, Sam Elliott, Yamhill County, provided us with the best, with the best documentation to lawfully hold the office of sheriff. And it failed. It was miserable, but it was the best available. Nobody had ever taught him. Nobody had ever read to him what it was. He had never read the Constitution from one end to the other and know what he was taking an oath to. But he learned all of that, and he met with us, our court, in his building. I think he could be an honorable man, but you can't be honorable if you don't have an oath of office. And it has to be proper. And it has to be taken care of legitimately. Legitimately is original jurisdiction, meaning by the people in common law, not by bar attorneys out of Salem. We don't have to have esquires and JDs telling us what to do every time we turn around. And especially in government. Government is not a business for profit. Stop trying to make a profit off of us. That's not the game. The game is our peace, safety, and happiness. And you're taking on the responsibility. So, it's confrontational. We're demanding an audit of all that is required of the occupant of the office of sheriff. That's reasonable. They come up to your car and say, show me your papers. Give me your license, your registration, and proof of insurance. Like Gestapo. Fuck them. Understand this. That's a sovereign man or woman sitting in the car that you stopped, if they know it. Pretend they do, and treat them with respect. Don't be, treat them with respect. That's required. So, where are we now? We read ORS 206. It says how to be a sheriff and what's required. And it says in the law that if the sheriff doesn't have his paperwork in order, that the county that he's sheriff of, their governing body has to fire him. That's a translation, but it's close. So then, with the freedom of information and the ability to ask a question and get a lawful, reasonable answer, I asked a couple of questions of Yamhill County, and Christopher answered me back, I think in a reasonable amount of time. And I said to him, loosely, in my question, does Yamhill have a plan on how to fire the sheriff if he doesn't have all of his bona fides in order? And he answered back, they searched and searched, and it has never been done. In the history of Oregon, nobody has ever taken it to the point where the county commissioners have to figure out how to fire the sheriff. They've never done it. But Christopher did say, we do realize that Sam's bona fides are not in order. Yes, we agree. And we're part of the solution. You see, in common law, a court makes a decision, and juries make verdicts. In fact, and courts decide law, not judges. We found that out when we bought Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856, the 6th edition, designed specifically to define the words used in our constitutions and original documents. It's all written down, and judges do not make decisions on law. Courts judge law. That's right out of the dictionary. And juries define the facts. And that's what we have here on Oregon. The only one that exists. It took us 7 years to get all the paperwork done. That's where we are right now today, 7 years into it. But it's an Article 3 court. And recently, the Supreme Court said, we agree with the 5th Appellate Court that the Security and Exchange Commission's judge could not fine and punish a guy because he did not have an Amendment 7 jury. That's what it takes to fine or punish a man. And that's what the 5th Appellate saw. And SCOTUS agreed. I find that delightfully interesting because in 2018, the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly created an Amendment 7 court. We also created a jury pool large enough that when you call the jury pool to attend a grand jury, one shows up. And they hear the evidence, they hear what's presented. They're all Oregonians, men and women. Men and women, they hear the evidence and they find a true bill or a presentment. When we need to have a jury, juries make decisions over $20. If you read Amendment 7, if the value's over $20, it takes a jury. In suits in common law. And they frequently say common law is civil law. Well, common law is about 6 different kinds of law, and criminal law is part of it. That's in Bouvier's dictionary. But if you don't have the dictionary, they'll show you another one like Black's Law that says what they want it to say. And they write the rules. In the Senate, when they pass a bill and the committee writes down what it is, they pass it to their legislative counsel, who's a bar attorney, and he writes it out in the language that he wants it written out in, and that's what goes into the ORS. I know. I've gone to the archives and pulled the boxes and looked it up. So we have sheriffs that don't have their bona fides. And for sure, one of them is on Yamhill County. Now, I've met Sam, and I think that he can, with a little effort, provide all that is required to be the occupant of the office of sheriff, the sheriff on Yamhill County. At the present time, you'll have to be sheriff for the de facto and sheriff for the jure, the people, original jurisdiction. And eventually, we'll drive out of office all those that don't have a proper oath and all those that are guilty of crimes and all those that have no honor. They'll be gone from the Salem oligarchy and from all the counties. We will have an honest, legitimate, constitutional form of government, like it's supposed to be. And it won't be run by bar attorneys that they wrote into the Constitution and passed into law that they are the ones. No, it's illegitimate and illegal, and we're not going for it. That's over. That's history. So, we're going to work with Christopher and the Yamhill County Commissioners and Sheriff Sam Elliott and all of his staff and crew to provide Yamhill County with, by audit, a correct sheriff, constitutionally correct, acceptable to the de facto and acceptable to jure, and knowledgeable about the fraud and helping to eliminate it and acting in honor. The first one out of 36. That's our hopes and expectation. But now it's not the first out of 36. It's the first out of 3,000 because that's how many sheriffs there are among all the states and territories, 33 states and 17 territories. So Sam Elliott, sheriff on Yamhill County, when he provides all his bona fides, and the county commissioners know and understand that this has to be done, and Sam knows and understands that this has to be done, and does his staff, and so does the Oregon State Sheriff's Association. And so does Superintendent Cotting of the Oregon State Police. And so does the U.S. Marshals and the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI on Portland. We're going to have a proper form of government, Article 4, Section 4, on Oregon this year, 2025. And I yield.
Greetings to all. My name is Gary Dean of the Family Darby. And we ask, where are our sheriffs? Our Article 3, Amendment 7 Civilian Common Law Court of Record has made numerous visits and relentless communications to our county sheriffs on Oregon. You may ask why. Because our sheriffs are our first protection against governance overreach. It is our county sheriffs that should be there to assist seniors to prevent their eviction from their homes and all they possess. It should be our county sheriffs who protect and defend the people from a corrupt court system, rather than ticketing them or supporting the illegitimate amended Article 7 courts. Our sheriffs seem to be avoiding any engagement with us, the people reaching out for a conversation about their refusal to see us. Contact requests are met with cricket sounds. Where are our sheriffs? It is significant that they take a proper oath to the Constitution, SIRA 1859, with its original jurisdiction, that is, to the people rather than to a corporation. To our Creator, that is, with God included. Such a dejuration and oath is needed for there to be remedy in our system of government. Let's get this ball rolling. It just takes one of you to make a difference, to get it started, to assist in awakening your colleagues in sheriffdom. Let it be so. Thank you.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying, and then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up.
And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.